Welcome to the Deep Dive. I'm your host, and today we have a really profound mission.
We really do. I'm thrilled to be here to get into this one.
Yeah. So today we are exploring a question that sounds like, a 2 a.m. college dorm debate.
Yeah.
But it actually drives almost every single decision you make in your daily life.
Oh, absolutely.
We're asking, what is the true worth of a human being?
It's the ultimate underlying question, isn't it? I mean, we usually don't say it out loud, but our answer to that question dictates literally everything.
Right.
From the careers you choose to how you judge a stranger on the street.
It really does. And to guide you through this today, we've got a fascinating piece of source material. It's a structured educational text titled The Measure of a Soul, True Human Worth.
Such a powerful title.
It is. Now, to give you some context on the background here, this text is heavily based on Baha'i writings regarding social discourse.
Right, and for those who might not be familiar, those writings essentially focus on the fundamental unity of all people. And the idea that spiritual principles really need to actively guide social progress.
Exactly. But what makes this specific source so unique is that those writings are synthesized with materials prepared by the HALE Institute.
Right, HALE. That stands for Human and AI Learning. They do this incredible work where they take just vast amounts of data. I mean, historical records, human behavior models, AI learning algorithms.
And they cross-reference all of that data with these profound spiritual texts.
Yes, to extract the actual core patterns of what makes a society genuinely flourish.
It's a brilliant combination because whether you are prepping for a massive leadership meeting right now, or maybe just trying to navigate the baseline anxieties of modern life, this text offers a really radical alternative to how we usually measure success.
It really reframes the whole picture.
It does. Okay, let's unpack this.
Let's start by looking at the trap we're currently in. The text outlines what it calls the modern definition of human worth.
Right.
If you look at competitive, market-driven societies, which is basically the water most of us are swimming in right now.
Yeah, sadly.
We tend to measure a person's value through a very specific external checklist.
I've actually got that checklist right here from the text.
Yeah.
And honestly, listening to this, it's going to sound uncomfortably familiar to you.
Oh, it hits very close to home.
The metrics for human worth are wealth, income, professional achievement, social status, and productivity or output.
It's the ultimate formula for LinkedIn doom scrolling.
It really is. It's exhausting just reading it.
But we have to pause and look at the real-world impact of that checklist. These are not just abstract economic theories that live in a textbook.
No, not at all.
According to the text, these specific indicators shape the literal architecture of our lives. They determine who gets hired for a job. They dictate who gets immediate respect when they walk into a room.
Who holds influence in a community.
Exactly. And perhaps most devastatingly, they shape how we view our own self-esteem.
Oh, entirely. It's that, that pit in your stomach you get when your neighbor suddenly parks a brand new boat in their driveway.
Right.
And you catch yourself thinking, wait, am I falling behind? We internalize these metrics so deeply, we start treating these surface level measures as if they are essential to who a person fundamentally is.
Yes. But the source material issues a massive warning here. It points out that treating these unstable metrics as essential is a highly materialistic and corrosive worldview.
Corrosive is a great word for it.
Because these metrics rise and fall based on things completely out of your control. Luck, geographic privilege, timing, or just a sudden shift in the economy.
Right, building your self-worth or an entire society's value system on things that can literally vanish in a single stock market crash.
Yeah,
it's a total recipe for disaster.
What's fascinating here is how the text argues that this modern definition fundamentally reduces a complex human soul to a mere economic unit.
An economic unit, just a cog in the machine.
Exactly. When you define worth primarily by output and wealth, you fuel endless competition. You fuel constant comparison.
And anxiety.
Constant anxiety. Because you are only ever as good as your last quarter or your latest purchase. It rewards pure self-interest.
And in the process, it completely blinds society to the inherent nobility of every individual. You end up with a culture where you are valued exclusively for what you produce.
Rather than who you actually are.
Okay, so if we accept that this modern checklist is fundamentally broken, which the text strongly argues it is, what does the alternative actually look like?
Well, it doesn't leave us stranded in that bleak reality.
Right, it offers a totally different framework.
A complete paradigm shift based on the Baha'i writings of Abdullah Baha. It's essentially a spiritual counterproposal.
And unlike the modern definition, this framework roots human worth entirely in spiritual reality, not material achievement at all.
0% material. It is a complete 180-degree turn.
So instead of that external checklist of wealth and status, the text gives us these true metrics for worth,
which are virtues, character, integrity, compassion, trustworthiness,
and your direct contribution to the well-being of others.
Yeah.
I actually want to read a direct quote from the source here, because I think it perfectly captures this shift.
Go for it.
Abdullah Baha says, "Man's merit lieth in service and virtue, not in the pageantry of wealth."
The pageantry of wealth.
It's such a vivid phrase, isn't it?
It is. It perfectly describes how performative our modern metrics are. It's all a show.
Yeah.
And the text synthesizes this by drawing a really crucial distinction between worth being inherent and worth being expressed.
I'm glad you brought that up. Walk us through that distinction, because it's a vital nuance in this framework.
Absolutely. So in this spiritual view, worth is inherent because every single soul reflects divine attributes.
So you have infinite value just by existing.
Right. You don't have to earn your right to breathe or be respected, but, and this is the critical part, that worth must be expressed.
It's not passive.
Exactly. It's not just sitting alone in a room being valuable. It has to be brought out and made real in the world through service and through the upliftment of others.
So it's an active engagement. You have the inherent capacity, but the merit is in actually expressing it through compassion.
Potential energy turning into kinetic energy.
Here's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
Because the text doesn't just leave these as abstract competing philosophies.
No, it grounds them completely.
Right. It gives us two highly concrete case studies, two historical lives, and their two very different outputs to show these definitions of worth in action.
The first case study represents the absolute pinnacle of modern worth.
John D. Rockefeller.
The ultimate symbol of the self-made titan.
The material highlights his immense wealth, his absolute dominance during the Industrial Revolution, and his highly competitive business practices.
We are talking about someone who built the Standard Oil monopoly by ruthlessly undercutting competitors.
Making secret deals, accumulating unprecedented capital. Now, the text does note that his philanthropy came later in life,
Right.
but his primary driving engine for decades was accumulation and market dominance.
And look at how the text analyzes the output of Rockefeller's life through this specific lens.
It's a very mixed bag.
It is. It acknowledges his innovation, certainly. He transformed global industry. But it pairs that innovation with the immense inequality it generated.
A massive concentration of power.
And what the text calls reactive generosity.
Reactive generosity, meaning he gave away money later to fix the societal problems his own aggressive systems arguably helped create.
Precisely. The philanthropy was a reaction to the wealth he hoarded. It wasn't the foundational principle of his daily actions while he was building the empire.
He played the modern worth game flawlessly. He won the game.
He did. But the output was a deeply divided society.
So then, the text pivots to the second case study, representing Abdullah Baha's definition of worth, and they chose Mother Teresa.
The contrast literally could not be sharper.
According to our standard modern checklist, the one that governs our markets today, she had absolutely nothing.
Nothing. Zero wealth.
Zero traditional social status. Zero institutional power. She spent her days in the slums of Calcutta, focusing entirely on lifelong service to the absolute forgotten.
Picking people up from the gutters so they could experience basic dignity.
Yes.
And yet, when the text evaluates the output of her life as defined by this spiritual framework,
It's staggering.
completely staggering. We are talking about global compassion, a profound moral awakening that crossed borders,
Unity across entirely different religions.
and the direct, tangible upliftment of the poorest of the poor.
Through the lens of Abdullah Baha's teachings, her worth is immeasurable, even though she produced zero traditional economic value.
She perfectly embodies the idea that merit lies in service and virtue.
But let me play devil's advocate here for a second, because if you are listening to this, you are probably wondering the exact same thing.
It's the natural next question.
Right. Does this mean material success is inherently bad? If we completely ignore productivity, how does a society actually function?
How do we build infrastructure? How do we cure diseases?
Exactly.
Okay.
Are these two definitions completely opposed? Are we all supposed to abandon the modern world?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the text is very careful to clarify this exact tension. It doesn't view these two dimensions, the spiritual and the material, as mortal enemies.
They aren't mutually exclusive.
Not at all. They are actually complementary. However, the crucial distinction the text makes is that they are hierarchical, not symmetrical.
Hierarchical, meaning one has to sit firmly above the other.
Yes, material success is not inherently bad, but it fundamentally cannot define your worth.
Right.
It only becomes meaningful when it is placed firmly in service to humanity.
The text brings in this brilliant analogy to explain it. It calls it the mature balance. It says that a mature person, and by extension, a mature society, uses spiritual purpose as the compass and material capacity as the tools.
The compass and the tools.
Yeah.
In this framework, your spiritual purpose, your virtues, your compassion, that act as the compass. It defines your worth, it sets your true north, and it dictates your moral responsibility.
While your material capacity, your wealth, your professional influence, your specific skills, those are simply the tools. They provide the means to uplift and build.
So if you visualize holding a compass in one hand and a hammer in the other,
Okay.
if you spend your whole life staring at the hammer, obsessing over how shiny and heavy it is, you have absolutely no idea where you are walking.
You're just wandering aimlessly through the woods holding a tool.
Exactly, which is what the modern definition of worth does. It makes the pursuit of the tool the entire goal of the journey.
And on the flip side, if you try to use a hammer to find true north, you're just going to break the compass. Tools have no moral direction on their own.
They don't. And the text clarifies that Abdullah Baha's call is not to reject wealth, nor is it to worship it,
The actual goal is a prosperous and compassionate society.
where wealth is used for service, where achievement is used for upliftment, and where influence is used for justice.
Wealth and achievement are completely recast. They are stripped of their power to define who you are as a human being. They are just tools in your hands, not your identity.
So what does this all mean?
Right, we've talked about this beautiful philosophy, the case studies, the compass, and the tools. How does it actually apply?
This is where the text delivers its core insight. It explains that defining human worth is not just a philosophical exercise. It is a civilizational question,
The stakes are massive.
the highest they can possibly be.
The text lists out these profound societal ripple effects. It points out that how we answer this single question dictates literally everything. It determines how we educate,
How we govern.
how we distribute resources, how we treat one another in a community, how we define success, and ultimately, how we shape the future.
Because if you fundamentally believe people are economic units, you build a factory. You build a system designed to extract labor.
But if you truly believe people are inherently noble souls, you build a community. You build systems designed to nurture potential.
And that brings us to the foundation of the text's discourse, summarized in 3 clear pillars.
Let's hear them.
1 worth is spiritual, not material. 2 worth is service, not status. And 3 worth is virtue, not visibility.
That is the bedrock.
It is.
As we wrap up this deep dive, I want you to think about what happens when you shift your own personal measuring stick away from that pageantry of wealth.
It's incredibly freeing.
It really is. If you can root your worth in your inherent virtue, it can dramatically reduce your anxiety. It completely reframes your daily interactions with your family, your coworkers, and yourself.
This raises an important question, and it's a final thought I want you to mull over.
Let's hear it.
The text states that our definition of worth determines how we educate and govern. So imagine if a society truly believed that human worth was measured strictly by compassion and service, rather than productivity and output.
That's a massive paradigm shift.
What would a standard school curriculum actually look like in that world? What would a typical corporate workday look like? Would our economy even function the same way if the primary currency we rewarded was virtue instead of capital?
It's a wild thought experiment. Try redesigning your own workday or a school syllabus using virtue as the ultimate currency. We're going to leave you to explore that on your own. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the true measure of a soul. We'll catch you next time.